Today we will start with the next unit, unit third. Unit third is liquid state. We have already discussed gaseous state first and gaseous state second. It is observed that in case of all states of matter, that is solid, liquid and gases, the basic and the most important difference is between the intermolecular forces of attraction of a particular substance. In case of solids, the intermolecular forces of attraction are strongest. In case of gaseous state, it is weakest. And in case of liquid, the intermolecular forces of attraction are in between those of solid and liquid, means they are stronger than the intermolecular forces of attraction in the gaseous molecules and weaker than the intermolecular forces of attraction in the solids. So we start with intermolecular forces of attraction or the van der Waals forces of attractions. Various types of intermolecular forces of attractions are as follows. First, dipole-dipole attraction. Dipole, di means two poles. So, such type of intermolecular forces of attractions are found among the polar molecules. Polar means the molecules which are obtained by the combination of two atoms with different electronegativity. So, the more electronegative atom will acquire slightly negative charge and the less electronegative atom will acquire slightly positive charge. For example, in case of HCl. Then the negatively charged portion of one molecule will have attraction with the positively charged part of the other molecule, and likewise negative and positive there will be slight interaction, and these intermolecular forces of attraction are called as dipole because this HCl molecule is acting as a dipole. There is positive charge and negative charge, slightly positive and slightly negative, and in case of another molecule again there is slightly positive and slightly negative charge. So there is interaction between this dipole and so on. These intermolecular forces are shown by dotted line, means they are weaker than the actual bond strength. Another is dipole-induced dipole attractions. Such type of interactions exist among the molecules in which one is polar and another is non-polar molecule. Actually, what happens, here we have introduced the term induced dipole. Induced means forced. So, a dipole or a polar molecule will be there and another molecule which is non-polar, but due to the presence of this polar molecule, the symmetrical electron cloud of the non-polar molecule will be disturbed and will get distorted, and a momentary dipole will develop even on non-polar molecule, and therefore that dipole so developed will remain only till the polar molecule is near that non-polar molecule, and as and when this polar molecule is removed away from the non-polar molecule, that will again be symmetrical or non-polar. That's why this is called as induced dipole. So the interaction between a polar molecule and a non-polar molecule will be called as dipole-induced dipole interaction. So such type of interaction, say this is the polar molecule and this was initially the non-polar molecule, but under the influence of this polar molecule, its symmetrical electron cloud gets distorted and a slightly positive and slightly negative charge will be introduced, and then the interaction between this negatively charged ion and positively charged developed so on a non-polar molecule will be known as dipole-induced dipole interaction. And third one is induced dipole attraction, and that is generally called as London dispersion forces. This is very interesting case. and this will be the weakest intermolecular force of attraction. Actually, this induced dipole molecule attractions exist among two non-polar molecules. Actually, when there are non-polar molecules, then their electron cloud will be symmetrical, and there should be no interaction between such non-polar molecules. However, practically it is observed that some intermolecular, though that is very weak, but some intermolecular force of attraction exists even among non-polar molecule. And how that is developed is due to the movement or motion of the electron. As the electron cloud is in motion around the nucleus in a particular molecule, and due to that movement or motion of the electron cloud is distorted for a very small fraction of time. And due to that distortion, the electron cloud gets distorted and a slightly positive and slightly negative charge will be developed even on a non-polar molecule, though that will be for a momentary time. So that will be induced dipole. And once that induced dipole is there, that will further get polarized the another non-polar molecule also, and therefore induced dipole interaction will be there. So this will be the weakest. This molecule is the original non-polar molecule which was having electron cloud symmetrical, and then it gets slight distortion takes place, that we have written that dipole due to electron distortions. So due to the movement of electron, this electron cloud gets distorted and slightly positive and slightly negative charge will be developed. And this distorted molecule will further induce dipole on another non-polar molecule. So this type of interaction will be the weakest and dipole attraction will be the strongest. मैं इसको इस तरह से कंपेयर किया करता हूँ, तीन तरह की जो फोर्सेज हैं. एक जो सबसे पहले थी डाइपोल अट्रैक्शंस, उसमें मैं कहता हूँ कि दो बदमाश या दो चोर हैं, उनके बीच में आपस में कुछ दोस्ती रह सकती है. दूसरा है कि एक बदमाश है और वो दूसरा कोई आदमी है, बच्चा है, बहुत सीधा साधा है. मतलब जो बदमाश है उसको मैं पोलर कह रहा हूं, जो सीधा साधा है उसको मैं नॉन पोलर कह रहा हूं. लेकिन वो जो बदमाश है, वो जो पोलर मॉलिक्यूल है, वो जो बदमाश आदमी है, वो उस शरीफ बच्चे को, शरीफ आदमी को भी डरा धमका के अपने जैसा बनाना चाह रहा है, अपने जैसा बनाने की कोशिश करता है. तो थोड़ी देर के लिए, थोड़े टाइम के लिए वो जो शरीफ आदमी है वो भी उस डर के कारण से उस बदमाश के साथ लग जाता है, उससे थोड़ी सी अपनी दोस्ती कर लेता है. लेकिन वो दोस्ती तब तक ही रहती है जब तक उस बदमाश का डर रहता है. जैसे पिक्चरों में भी दिखाते हैं कि वो कोई डॉन होता है और वो छोटे छोटे बच्चों को किडनैप करके उठवा लेता है और उसके बाद वो क्या करता है कि उनसे भीख मंगवाता है, जेब कटवाता है और उनको परेशान करता है. तो उनमें से बहुत से बच्चे तो उसके साथ रम जाते हैं उसी काम में, लेकिन कुछ बच्चे ऐसे होते हैं जो मौके की तलाश में होते हैं कि जिस दिन भी मौका लगेगा हम यहाँ से भाग लेंगे. तो दैट इज डाइपोल मैं उस बदमाश आदमी को कह रहा हूँ, पोलर मॉलिक्यूल को कह रहा हूँ, और इंड्यूस्ड डाइपोल के वो शरीफ को भी वो जबरदस्ती अपने डर से उसको बदमाश बना रहा है. और तीसरा मैंने कहा कि दोनों शरीफ थे, दोनों नॉन पोलर थे, लेकिन क्योंकि घर से बाहर निकलते हैं तो कुछ जो बाहर का एनवायरनमेंट है वो उनको थोड़ा बहुत अपने जो एक उनका मकसद है उससे डेविएट कर देते हैं, और मोमेंटरीली ही चाहे सही, लेकिन उनका माइंड थोड़ा सा डेविएट हो जाता है और वो थोड़ा सा एक दिन के लिए, 2 दिन के लिए भटक सकते हैं और उस दौरान उनमें आपस में दोस्ती हो जाती है, लेकिन अल्टीमेटली वो फिर से अपने ओरिजिनल स्टेट में आ जाते हैं. Then next is structure of liquids. If we discuss that the structure of liquids is less well established than that of gases or solids, We will consider some approaches which help in understanding the structure of liquids. In case of solids, the structure is well established. In gaseous state, the structure is not established at all. And in case of liquids, it will be in between those of solids and gases. So, we will discuss some properties which will show that the structure of liquid lies in between those of solids and liquid. That is, their structure is not as perfect as in case of solids, but not as imperfect as in case of gases. So we will discuss some properties. First is incompressibility. The ease with which liquid flow shows that the molecules in liquid are randomly arranged like those of a gas. Liquids are incompressible, which indicates the strong forces of attraction and compact structure of liquids resembling that of a solid. Liquids represent an intermolecular state between order and disorder. As I have already said, that their arrangement of constant particles in liquid is not as ordered as in case of solid state, but also not as disordered as in case of a gaseous state. The next property is change in molecular volume on fusion and vaporization. Fusion is a process in which we increase the temperature and then solid state changes into the liquid state. That process will be fusion, and then further heating a liquid that can be converted into vapors, and that will be known as vaporization. Now, change in molar volume. It is observed that when a solid melts, its molar volume increases by 1%. जब आप सॉलिड से लिक्विड में कन्वर्ट करते हैं तो उसकी वॉल्यूम में बहुत ज़्यादा चेंज या बहुत ज़्यादा डिफरेंस आपको नहीं मिलेगा. सिर्फ करा गया ऑलमोस्ट 1% इंक्रीज इन वॉल्यूम इज ऑब्जर्व्ड in volume. Whereas the increase in volume is about 100 to 1000 times when a liquid is converted into vapors at its boiling point. That means when we changes solid to a liquid, then the constant particles are not much disturbed. They are not far away from each other. However, in case that's why the change in volume is very less. However, when the liquid is changed into gaseous state, then the increase in the volume is quite large, 100 to 1000 times, depending upon the nature of the liquid. So that means the constant particles are far apart from each other, and there is a large disorder. They are not arranged in an ordered manner like in case of gases. So this small increase in molar volume on fusion and large increase in molar volume on vaporization again suggests that the structure of liquids is in between those of solid and liquid. And another thing related to this structure of liquid can be explained on the basis of enthalpy of fusion and vaporization. Again, when we heat a solid, then temperature goes on increasing, and ultimately a temperature will be reached that further heating of that substance, there will be no change in temperature. Actually, where does this heat energy which we are providing to the substance that goes? Actually, that is used in change of phase, means that now the solid has started to be converted into the liquid phase, and that the temperature remains constant so long whole of the solid is being converted into the liquid. The energy consumed or required during this process is known as enthalpy of fusion. So it is observed that enthalpy of fusion is found to be much lesser than the enthalpy of vaporization. Similarly, again, when liquid state is reached, we keep on heating the liquid, temperature will keep on going on increasing, and ultimately when the boiling point is reached, then again temperature remains constant for some time. It will remain constant till whole of the liquid is converted into the vapor phase. So that energy which is required to convert 1 mole of a liquid into its vapor at boiling point is known as enthalpy of vaporization. So it is observed that enthalpy of fusion for a substance is quite lesser than the enthalpy of vaporization of the same substance. So that also shows that when lesser heat is absorbed during fusion, that means lesser disorder is introduced, while in case of vaporization more heat is consumed and the disorderness will be more. Same thing is entropy of fusion and entropy of vaporization. Entropy is the measure of disorderness. It is found that entropy of vaporization is greater than entropy of fusion. So again it indicates that the lesser disorder is introduced when a solid changes to liquid than when a liquid converts into a gas. And the last study which helps in establishing the structure of liquid is X-ray diffraction studies of liquids. When we carry out the X-ray diffraction study of solid, liquid and gases, then it is observed that in case of solids, we observe well-defined maxima and minima from initial stage to the last stage. In case of gaseous state, almost no maxima is observed, while in case of liquid state, a few maxima are obtained and then that vanishes abruptly. So X-ray diffraction studies of crystalline solids show that the constituent particles within the solid crystal are arranged in a perfect order and this order extends up to the edge of the crystal. Last तक आपको maxima मिलेंगे. This is called long range order. Electron diffraction study. गैसियस स्टेट के लिए हमें एक्सरे की भी जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी, सिर्फ इलेक्ट्रॉन ही हम स्ट्राइक करवाएंगे, उसी से उसका डिफ्रैक्शन पैटर्न आपको मिल जाएगा. सो इलेक्ट्रॉन डिफ्रैक्शन स्टडीज ऑफ gases shows that gaseous molecules have no order at all. However, X-ray diffraction pattern of liquid shows that there are, it should be R, 1 or 2 diffraction maxima at small angles, but as we move outward from some centrally chosen atom, the maxima are damped out, means they vanish. This shows that in a liquid short range order still exists, but there is no long range order. So overall, by discussing these 5, so on the basis of the above 5 studies, it is suggested that the structure of liquid lie between solid and gases, having partially ordered arrangement, reasonably good bond strength, and the constituent particles lie close to each other. The next is structural difference between solid, liquid and gases. Various points of difference between solid, liquid and gases are summarized in this table form. These are simple differences. Almost everybody knows that what are the basic structural differences between solid, liquid and gases. So in case of solids, as we have discussed just now, their X-ray diffraction have well-defined maxima, long range order as well as short range order. Their X-ray diffraction patterns in case of liquids have only 1 or 2 well-defined maxima which damp out, as we have discussed just now, that they will vanish out with distance. And in case of gaseous state, their electron diffraction pattern do not have any maxima. No pattern will be observed. The constituent particles are arranged in perfect order. Naturally, in case of solids, the arrangement of the constituent particles will be in a perfect order, means they have long range order as well as short range order. In case of liquids, there exists a short range order only, but there is no long range order. And in case of gaseous state, neither there is short range order nor long range order. Another is the constituent particles are very closely packed, and that's why the solids are usually very hard. Their structure is very compact. So hence they have strong intermolecular forces of attraction and hence possess rigidity and a definite volume and definite shape. This is the reason that as I have said, that the basic difference between the 3 properties of matter is their intermolecular forces of attraction. So here in case of liquids, the molecules are separated by small distance, therefore forces of attraction are weaker than solids. Hence they possess fluidity and have a definite volume but no definite shape. And in case of molecules of gases, they are separated by large distances. Naturally the intermolecular forces of attraction will be the weakest, and hence they have neither definite volume nor definite shape. Then next point of difference in case of solids, the constant particles have only vibrational motion and have no rotational or translational motion. While in case of liquids, the molecules have small translational, rotational, and though all types of translational, rotational, and vibrational motion are there, but to a very lesser extent. And in case of gases, because the molecules are quite free, therefore they have large translational, rotational, and vibrational motion. And last, solids have high density because their structure is quite compact. They have lesser volume, the same amount of mass will have lesser volume, and they have higher density. Density of liquid is lower than that of solid, but higher than its gaseous state. And gaseous have naturally the lowest density. So up to this, which we have discussed, that liquid in starting from the liquid state, types of intermolecular forces of attraction, then about the structure of liquid and structural difference between solid, liquid and gases. These are not much important topics. However, from here, physical properties of liquids. There are various properties of liquids. In the liquids, the intermolecular distances are not as large as in case of gases. Therefore, the intermolecular forces of attraction in case of liquids are much stronger as compared to gases. As a result, like gases, the liquids do not have definite shape. But unlike, as a result, like it should be solids. Instead of gases, it should be solid. ये आप ध्यान दें कि like solids, the liquids do not have definite shape. But unlike gases, liquids have a definite volume. It is correct that as a result, like gases, ठीक कह रहा है कि like gases, the liquids, gases are also not having definite shape. Similarly, liquids are also not having definite shape. But gases have no definite volume, but liquids have definite volume. So you have need not to correct here. It will be like gases. That is correct. Like gases, the liquids do not obey any general law as done by gases. जैसे PV is equal to nRT obey होती है ideal gas equation. Here none such law is obeyed by liquids. However, the liquids possess certain physical properties which are characteristics of each liquids. Different physical properties we will be discussing, and depending upon the nature of the liquid, they have their different values of those physical properties. So these properties help us to decide the chemical constitution of each liquid. Some of the common physical properties of liquids are: one is vapor pressure, another is surface tension, third viscosity, fourth optical activity, and fifth refractive index and dipole moment. We have given here 6 properties. However, out of these 6 properties, first 4 properties, that is vapor pressure, surface tension, viscosity and optical activities, these are in our syllabus of first semester, and we will be discussing these 4 properties, first 4 properties, one by one. So we start with the vapor pressure. What is vapor pressure? If we take a liquid in a closed container, and that closed container is connected with a manometer, then it is observed that initially the level of the mercury in the manometer and both the tubes will be at the same level. However, with the passage of time and with the change of temperature, some of the molecules may leave the liquid phase and they will come into the vapor phase above the liquid. So the mercury level in the manometer will change. This process of converting liquid molecules into vapor is known as evaporation or vaporization. Simultaneously, as the gas molecules are always in a state of rapid motion, so some of the molecules from the vapor phase may come back into the contact of liquid phase and gets converted into the liquid phase. This process of conversion of vapors back into the liquid is known as condensation. We observe that initially the rate of evaporation will be higher and rate of condensation will be lower. But as the process goes on, a stage will be reached when the rate of evaporation and rate of condensation becomes equal. Means rate of evaporation will go on decreasing and rate of condensation will go on increasing with the passage of time. And when this stage is reached, that is when the rate of evaporation and rate of condensation are equal, that stage will be known as equilibrium state. Then the pressure exerted by the vapors of a liquid over the liquid phase at equilibrium state is known as vapor pressure. So we have discussed all these things, that I just repeated that with the passage of time, as the number of molecules in the vapor phase becomes more and more, the rate of condensation also increases. Ultimately, a stage is reached when the rate of condensation becomes equal to the rate of evaporation. This state is called the state of equilibrium, and the pressure exerted by the vapors at this stage is called vapor pressure. You can see, or it will help you in understanding the definition or process of this vapor pressure. Here, this is liquid water, and this manometer is connected with this closed container. Here, mercury is filled in both the tubes. Initially, say the level of mercury in this tube as well as in this tube was here. Now, as the temperature increases, then what happens? Some of the molecules from the liquid phase, from here, they will go to the vapor phase. And when they come into the vapor phase, they will force this mercury to go downward. So this level will come down, and this in this limb, it will come to the upward side. And then, as I said, that these vapors molecules will also can come into the contact of the liquid phase and gets converted, or means condensation takes place. So again this level comes down. So this level of mercury keep on changing, up, down, likewise. And ultimately, so here in this plot also you can see that this is the time. Initially there is no condensation, so rate of condensation is 0 and rate of evaporation is higher. Then as the time passes, the rate of condensation goes on increasing and this evaporation process goes on decreasing. Rather, this should be the evaporation process. This goes on decreasing, and at this point, these rate of condensation and rate of evaporation, they becomes equal. This will be the equilibrium point. So when this stage is reached, this will be obtained, practically this will be obtained when this level of the mercury in the manometer becomes stable. That stage will be the equilibrium state, and the difference between this level and this level we can measure directly, and that will give you the vapor pressure of a particular liquid. Hence, vapor pressure of a liquid at any temperature may be defined as the pressure exerted by the vapors present above the liquid in equilibrium with the liquid at that temperature. Now, after definition, what are the factors which affects vapor pressure? we will be discussing some important results regarding वेपर प्रेशर। एक चीज ध्यान दें, इस यूनिट में आमतौर पे क्या होगा कि छोटे छोटे क्वेश्चंस, कॉन्सेप्चुअल टाइप क्वेश्चंस ज़्यादा रहते हैं, बजाय के ज़्यादा बड़े कोई डेरिवेशन है उनके होने के चांसेस कम रहते हैं एग्जाम में, और छोटे छोटे जो कॉन्सेप्चुअल टाइप क्वेश्चंस हैं एक एक 1.5 नंबर के, उनके होने के चांसेस ज़्यादा रहेंगे। तो सबसे पहले तो हम बात कर रहे हैं सम इंपॉर्टेंट रिजल्ट्स में, कूलिंग काज्ड बाय एवापोरेशन। So question is usually there, why cooling is caused by evaporation? Actually what happens when some liquid is there, their molecules will be having a particular kinetic energy, and out of those molecules which are having somewhat higher energy, higher kinetic energy, then they will leave the liquid phase and go into the vapor phase. That process is known as evaporation. And when the molecules with higher energy leave the liquid phase and go into the vapor phase, then the average kinetic energy of the remaining molecule in the liquid phase, that will decrease. And as the kinetic energy is directly proportional to temperature, so as the average kinetic energy of the remaining liquid molecules decreases, cooling is observed. Or you can say that the molecules with higher energy go out and therefore the remaining molecule will have lower energy. मैं इसको इस तरह से कंपेयर करता हूँ, जैसे मान लो आपकी क्लास है, उसमें जो टोटल नंबर ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स हैं उनकी एक पर्टिकुलर परसेंटेज है, किसी की कुछ, किसी की कुछ, किसी की कुछ, हम उसका एवरेज निकाल लेते हैं एंड से दैट एवरेज इज 68%. Now if the top 10 students leave that class, then naturally the average percentage will come down. And I am comparing those students which are leaving the classes, that class is in the liquid phase. They leave the class and go outside the class or go some other institutes, means they have been converted into the vapor phase. So the average kinetic energy of the remaining molecule, that means the average percentage of the remaining students decreases and cooling will be observed. So when a liquid evaporates, the more energetic molecule leaves the liquid. As a result, the average kinetic energy of the remaining liquids decreases and hence temperature falls and cooling is observed. Next is, what are the factors affecting vapor pressure? Mainly there are two factors. There can be one or two factors more, but the main factors which play a role in affecting the vapor pressure are two. One is nature of the liquid and another is effect of temperature. It is observed that different liquids have different vapor pressure. Why it is so? Because the different molecules have different intermolecular force of attraction. Higher is the intermolecular force of attraction among the molecules of a liquid, lesser will be their chances to be converted into the vapor phase, and hence naturally the vapor pressure will be low. However, if the intermolecular forces of attraction are weak among the liquid molecules, then more molecule can leave the liquid phase and go into the vapor phase, and naturally the vapor pressure will be high. So if the intermolecular forces of attraction in the liquid are weak, the molecules can easily leave the liquid phase and come into the vapor phase, and hence the vapor pressure is higher, and vice versa. Vice versa means if the intermolecular forces of attraction are strong, then vapor pressure will be less or low. Another is effect of temperature. Naturally, if we increase the temperature, then average kinetic energy of the liquid molecules will increase. It means the intermolecular force of attraction that decreases. And due to that decrease in intermolecular force of attraction, because their average kinetic energy increase, their velocity increases, and due to this increase in velocity, their intermolecular force of attraction that gets decreased, and therefore more and more molecule will be converted into the vapor phase, and vapor pressure goes on increasing with the increase of temperature, and vice versa. Means if we lower the temperature, then vapor pressure decreases. If we increase the temperature, then vapor pressure increases. So as the temperature of a liquid increases, the number of molecules with higher kinetic energy increases. Therefore, the vapor pressure of the liquid increases. This is evident from each curve in figure 3.5 here, which shows the variation of vapor pressure with temperature for some liquids. Here it is temperature. Say for this particular liquid, these are different liquids. Acetic acid, initially the vapor pressure was low, and as we go on increasing the temperature, its vapor pressure goes on increasing. Similar is the case for water, benzene, acetone, ether, and likewise. We have discussed that with the increase of temperature, vapor pressure of a particular liquid increases and vice versa. This is the qualitative aspect. Quantitatively means what is the exact effect of temperature on increasing the temperature. That is given by an equation known as Clausius-Clapeyron equation. This Clausius-Clapeyron equation gives the effect of temperature on vapor pressure, and that is given by this equation, this Clausius-Clapeyron equation. For vaporization of a liquid, the equation is written in the form that dP upon dt is equal to delta Hv upon T into Vv minus Vl. dP upon dt means this is the variation of vapor pressure with respect to temperature. जैसा कि हम अभी कह रहे हैं कि effect of temperature on vapor pressure. So what will be the exact effect? So this is the variation, or you can say the change of vapor pressure with respect to temperature. Delta Hv is enthalpy of vaporization. That is the energy which is required to convert 1 mole of a liquid into its vapor at boiling point temperature. T is the temperature. V subscript V is the volume of that substance in the vapor phase, and this is the volume of that substance in the liquid phase. So this description is given that delta Hv is latent heat of vaporization of the liquid, Vv molar volume of the vapor at temperature T, Vl molar volume of the liquid at temperature T. Now as the volume of the liquid will be quite small, as V is very small as compared to volume of vapor, because in case of gaseous phase the volume will be quite large, the molecule will be far apart from each other. Therefore this volume of liquid can be taken negligible as compared to the large volume of the vapor phase. So neglecting this, we will have dP by dt will be equal to delta Hv by T into just Vv minus Vl की जगह हम just V रख सकते हैं. Then further assuming that vapor pressure behaves like an ideal gas, though this is purely an assumption, because the vapor of a liquid will not behave like an ideal gas. Even any gas is not behaving particularly ideal under all conditions of temperature and pressure, but to some extent it is considered that if the vapors behave like an ideal gas, then only we will have PV is equal to RT, or V means volume of vapor. So VV will be equal to RT upon P. तो ये जो VV की वैल्यू है ये हम इक्वेशन सेकंड में यहाँ रख देंगे, बाकी इक्वेशन सेकंड एच सच रह जाएगी. दैट इज dP by dt विल बी इक्वल टू डेल्टा Hv बाई, जैसे ये आपके पास इक्वेशन सेकंड थी, डेल्टा Hv बाई T. तो डेल्टा Hv बाई T एच सच रहा, और आपके पास VV था उसकी जगह RT अपॉन P. तो ये RT स्क्वायर इंटू P हो जाएगा आपके पास. इसको जस्ट थोड़ा सा सिंप्लीफाई कर दें, P को इस तरफ ले आएंगे और 1 अपॉन P इंटू dP बाई dt विल बी इक्वल टू डेल्टा Hv अपॉन RT स्क्वायर. और अब हम इसको किस तरह से लिख सकते हैं 1 अपॉन P इंटू dP बाई dt को, कि dlnP बाई dt विल बी इक्वल टू डेल्टा Hv बाई RT स्क्वायर. दिस इक्वेशन इज कॉल्ड Clausius-Clapeyron इक्वेशन and can be expressed in integrated form as. This is the differential form of Clausius-Clapeyron equation. And then this equation third can be written as dlnP हमने h सच रख लिया, dt इस तरफ लिया है, डेल्टा Hv by RT square into dt. Now if the vapor pressure changes from P1 to P2, when it changes from P1 to P2, when the temperature changes from T1 to T2, then integrating equation 4 between the limits P1 टू P2 प्रेशर रेंज या वेपर प्रेशर जिसको हम कहें वो P1 से P2 चेंज होगा कब? व्हेन टेम्परेचर चेंजेस फ्रॉम T1 टू T2. So integrating this equation for between the limits P1, P2 and T1, T2, we will get integration P1 to P2 d ln P will be equal to integration T1 to T2 delta Hv by RT square into dt. ये डिफरेंशिएशन ये इंटीग्रेशन एक दूसरे के रेसिप्रोकल हैं, तो सिर्फ क्या आ जाएगा इसका इंटीग्रेशन ln P, और उसमें हम लिमिट रखेंगे P1 टू P2. तो अपर लिमिट माइनस लोअर लिमिट, दैट विल गिव यू ln P2 माइनस ln P1. यू कैन राइट इट एज ln P2 बाई P1, और ये आपके पास डेल्टा Hv बाई R, ये पार्ट जो है दैट इज कांस्टेंट, हम यहाँ इंटीग्रेशन से बाहर ले लेंगे, एंड देन वी विल इंटीग्रेट 1/t स्क्वायर dt बिटवीन द लिमिट्स T1 T2, दैट विल गिव यू डेल्टा Hv बाई R, ये कांस्टेंट है. 1/T2 का जब हम इंटीग्रेशन करेंगे that will give you -1/t, और -1/t है उसमें हम फिर लिमिट्स पुट करेंगे अपर लिमिट्स, तो -1/T2 और ये माइनस माइनस प्लस हो जाएगा +1/T1. So you will get this ln is converted into log. When we convert this ln into log, then we will multiply it by 2.303 and that will come here. So log of P2 by P1 will be equal to delta Hv by 2.303 R into T2 minus T1 upon T1 T2. So thus knowing delta Hv, that is enthalpy of vaporization or latent heat of vaporization of a particular substance, and vapor pressure P1 at a particular temperature T1. If at a particular temperature T1, if we know the vapor pressure P1, then the vapor pressure P2 at another temperature T2 can be calculated by using this equation if we know the enthalpy of vaporization or latent heat of vaporization of that particular substance or of that particular liquid. So this equation gives the quantitative exact. Otherwise तो हम कहते हैं कि temperature with the increase of temperature vapor pressure increases and with the decrease of temperature vapor pressure decreases. लेकिन वो qualitative aspect, हम ये नहीं बता रहे कितना temperature increase होगा तो कितना vapor pressure increase हो जाएगा, कितना temperature decrease होगा तो vapor pressure में decrease कितना होगा. लेकिन ये equation जो है that will give you the exact change of pressure, vapor pressure rather, with respect to temperature. So this equation will be the final equation. The next thing or the next term is boiling point. Simple definition है. ज़्यादातर हम जब पूछते हैं कि what is boiling point, आमतौर पे बच्चा कहता है जिस टेम्परेचर पे लिक्विड बॉयल होना शुरू हो जाए. वो गलत नहीं है, लेकिन मैं कहता हूँ वो एक अनपढ़ वाली डेफिनेशन है. So what is the scientific definition of this boiling point? We have discussed here, as the vapor pressure of a liquid increases with the increase of temperature. हमने अभी डिस्कस किया कि as we go on increasing the temperature, the vapor pressure of the liquid goes on increasing, and with the increase of vapor pressure, as and when that vapor pressure of the liquid becomes equal to the atmospheric pressure, or you call it as external pressure, as and when the vapor pressure of a liquid, or at what temperature the vapor pressure of a liquid becomes equal to the atmospheric pressure, that temperature is known as boiling point. So therefore the temperature at which the vapor pressure of liquid becomes equal to the external pressure, that is the atmospheric pressure, is called the boiling point of the liquid. Obviously, higher is the external pressure, more heat will be required to make the vapor pressure of the liquid equal to the external pressure, and hence higher will be the boiling point. तो यहाँ पे एक क्वेश्चन होता है, depending upon the definition of this boiling point, can explain why a liquid boils at a lower temperature at the top of the mountain than on seashore. एक particular liquid है, उसका boiling point अगर किसी height पे, किसी mountain पे हम जाके लेंगे तो that will be lesser than that of its boiling point at the sea level. So why it is so? Because as we go higher, the atmospheric pressure or the external pressure goes on decreasing, and therefore lesser heat energy will be required to make the vapor pressure of the liquid equal to the atmospheric pressure or external pressure. and as at the surface of the sea, the external atmospheric pressure is usually 760 mm, means higher, and therefore we will require higher heat energy, more heat energy to increase the vapor pressure of the liquid equal to the atmospheric pressure. So similarly, if the external pressure is decreased, the boiling point is lowered. This is the reason that a liquid boils at a lower temperature at the top of a mountain than on seashore, because at the top of the mountain the liquid will have lesser vapor pressure, because at the top of the mountain the external pressure will be less and therefore lesser heat energy will be required. Next term is heat of vaporization. We have already discussed this heat of vaporization or enthalpy of vaporization, that when liquid starts boiling, if extra heat is supplied to the liquid, it do not increase the temperature of the liquid, but it used to overcome the intermolecular force of attraction existing in the liquid and thus changing the liquid into vapor. So at after reaching the boiling point, if we keep on going on increasing the, we keep on going heating the liquid, its temperature will remain constant and that heat energy is consumed in the phase transformation, that is converting liquid into the vapor phase. This amount of heat required to change 1 mole of a liquid into its vapor at, remember this is important, at boiling point is called heat of vaporization of the liquid, or you call it as enthalpy of vaporization of the liquid. Now two important relations usually इस पर एक नंबर का क्वेश्चन होता है कि राइट डाउन गोल्डबर्ग्स रूल और ट्रूटोन्स रूल. तो जस्ट आप रिजल्ट याद रखेंगे. In 1890, Goldberg pointed out that the following general relationship between the normal boiling point and the critical temperature of the liquid. That boiling point of a liquid is usually equal to 2/3 of its critical temperature. So that is Goldberg's rule. And next is relationship between boiling point and heat of vaporization, and that is known as Truthont's rule. According to Truthont's rule, it is observed that for liquids which are non-associated, some liquids are associated, so this rule is applicable only for non-associated and do not have too high boiling points. The ratio of heat of vaporization expressed in calories to the boiling point expressed in absolute degree is approximately 21. That is, enthalpy of vaporization when divided by boiling point will be nearly equal to 21, or you can say that the enthalpy of vaporization will be equal to 21 times that of boiling point.